So we're going to start off with the question she decided to ask before the interview.
Okay.
What made you interested, or what inspired you to start this business?
Okay. I was inspired to start this business because from a very early age, I was exposed to African history and African culture, and to be very proud of African history and culture. And I was an avid reader growing up. I read a lot of books. Unfortunately, the books were primarily of European culture, not that much Black culture, but I read them anyway and enjoyed those books. But as I got older, my sister, for instance, went to historically Black university, and that exposed me to a whole new world. I met her friends from South Africa, all over the US, and that led me to also go to a historically Black college and university for my higher level education. And I was exposed at Howard University in Washington, D.C. I was exposed to Black culture and history. I had friends from all over the world who were from Africa, the Caribbean, everywhere, just African. And DC itself is very rich in Black history and culture. There were always poetry readings, stores just like this. So I was exposed to it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I said to myself, one day I'd like to do the same. Met my now husband, and he went to school in London and was exposed to pretty much the same thing. A lot of stores like this that celebrated African history and culture. He was very much exposed to African Black politics, and he was involved in a lot of activist organizations in university. So when we met and we started sharing ideas, we decided to start this company. It was online at first, and it took many years before we moved to settled on opening a store.
That's nice. And what are your most popular items that you sell?
I don't know if I can pick one item. It just all depends. Sometimes the clothes move really fast. During the pandemic, because we couldn't go anywhere, most people were buying books. So that was the main thing that was selling, the books. But I would say when people come in here, someone can find something. If a group of people come in, everybody can find something for themselves. So we just try to create a variety of products that we think people would like.
All right. And these questions now will be about the event that you're having tonight.
Okay.
And can you explain the premise of the event?
Okay, now when we started this whole concept, Black Food, it's not just to sell products alone. While we enjoy retailing products, we wanted to create a space, like a community hub for people, because one of the things we have done over the years is hosted a lot of community events at public parks, whether it's movie nights, open air movie nights, or we've also done like panel discussions at Cancer Society of the Bahamas or other venues. So for us, it's always been bringing the community together. We've always hosted these events that were free to the public. Because of the pandemic, yet again, we couldn't do that last year. So this is going to be like the first event we're having post-pandemic at the store. So a lot of people who are familiar with us hosting events, this will be their first time here tonight to take part in the event.
Okay. And explain the different segments of the event. I know you have a movie and there's a discussion, right?
Well, how our movie nights work, at first we are gonna have a brief presentation from Alex Morley, who is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party Bahamas. and he's just going to give a presentation on the topic is entitled "The Destruction of the Black Crab Syndrome," and he's just going to talk about, I guess, why it is that Black African people find themselves in the situation that we're in throughout the world. A lot of times living in poverty, a lot of times without, just a lot of social inequalities. Why is it that Black or African people are always faced with this? And it's a structural issue. It has its roots in slavery and colonialization. They did happen. You're talking a 600-year process where we were disadvantaged, you know. And I think what he's going to say is that it requires all of us, Black people as well as white people, all of us trying to correct this wrong that has happened as a result of slavery and colonialization, because it's a social system that doesn't work for anybody. You know, nobody should feel like I should profit at somebody else's expense. No one should feel comfortable doing that, you know. But that is what we're faced with now. So that's what he's going to be talking about. But once he's done with that presentation, then we're going to move to the movie. And then after the movie, we're going to have a question and answer. Question and answer, and if people want to give comments, or, you know, they're free. We like people to share how the movie impacted them or how the presentation impacted them, so they're free to just share. So we'll be doing that. And then so we'll be doing that, and then we'll and then we'll open up to a bit of fellowship, I guess, if people wanna. We'll have refreshments.
Okay.
And so that's the night in a nutshell.
And what do you hope to accomplish from the event?
Well, what we want to accomplish, we definitely want to strengthen bonds in the community, bring the community closer. We have invited people from this community itself, the Angliston community. So we want to build a relationship with people in the community. So that's one of the things we want to accomplish. But even the wider public, we want to help to build a more cohesive society. A lot of times everybody is operating in isolation. It's just them and their immediate families. And a lot of times we don't have an opportunity to meet people outside of our immediate family. You'll be surprised what you have in common with somebody else and where it could lead to. And that strengthens communities, and it ultimately strengthens our nation. So.
And what do you hope that patrons will learn after attending this event?
I think they will learn a little bit more about capitalism, what it is, as a social system, why it doesn't benefit us. I think they'll learn about imperialism. I think they'll learn about the importance of your economy working in your best interests for the people of your nation, you know, to ensure that, you know, your people get the benefit of the economy, and it doesn't service outside elements or forces. So those are some of the things.
Now I looked around and I saw that you have a few Caribbean books around, but the question I had was, I understand this is like a history-based event, am I correct?
Somewhat, but I think the movie itself deals with some current realities in Jamaica, which are relevant to the Bahamas and the rest of the region.
And that was a follow-up to my next question. I wanted to know, do you only focus on like African history, or do you look at African Caribbean? And seeing as, you know, you're looking at a Jamaican context, I get my answer from that.
Right.
So what forms of advertisement did you use?
For advertisement, we used, we have a newsletter. So we created a flyer that we emailed out to our news database, which is several hundred people. We also use WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp grouping of several hundred people also. And Facebook ads. We ran ads on Facebook and Instagram.
That's how I learned about this event happening today on Facebook.
Okay.
And having gone through organizing this event, would you do anything different for in the future? I seen as this is like the first time you said you'll be having it in the store, right?
Right.
Anything you think you'll do different for the next time? Or would you have to
no.
see how this turns out?
Yeah, I would have to see how this turns out and to say. But we also used Eventbrite, which is an online registration where people were able to get tickets for the event. And that helped us manage the attendees, which I thought was good. So God forbid something happens, we have names and emails for contact tracing. And we also are able to reach out to those people in advance just to remind them of the event. So that was good using Eventbrite. But no, I can't say if we would do anything different. I'd have to wait and see after the event.
Okay. And I know that you mentioned before that you had this in like public parks before as well.
Yes.
How often do you do an event like this before you reach to the store?
I would say we would do it at least, I want to say 6 times a year. But we also did a movie series once on Padolio Street right here in Angleton, where we used a car wash. We had actually gotten a grant from Cable Bahamas several years ago, and they gave us a couple $1,000s to run this movie series one summer, and it was for the neighborhood, and we showed all types of movies, from documentaries to comedy, just all sorts. Every night we would run it, every Saturday night for about a month or 2. Even maybe 3 months maybe, but it was highly successful, and that is why when we did this store, we outfitted it so that we could do movie nights. Mm-hmm.
And do you have any more events planned for the future?
We do, based on the success of this. Once we're able to measure it and see how it works, especially with the pandemic going on. We want to do book signings, poetry nights, open mics. We also want to do maybe art showings, anything that the public is interested in, we would want to do.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And